This video is to summarize data displays and statistics. So here we have two box plots, and we have learned how to interpret a box plot to find the range and the interquartile range and the median. So we can compare these two box plots by finding and comparing the range, interquartile range, and the median. To find the range, we use the maximum and the minimum value. So for city A, we know that the maximum and the minimum value are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 units apart. So for city A, we have a range of 10, whereas for city B, the maximum and the minimum values are closer to 18 apart. This tells us that based on the range, there's more variability in city B. The temperatures are more spread out. Variability talks about the spread in the data. Then we can also determine the interquartile range. And so the range is 100% of the data, everything from smallest to greatest. The interquartile range is the middle 50% of the data. So what's in the middle 50%? We're taking out the top 25% and the bottom 25%, and we're just looking at what's in the middle. So our interquartile range is represented by the actual box. And the lower and the higher side of the box represents the upper and the lower quartiles, and we use those to find the interquartile range. So here we see that the interquartile range is 3. And here it's more like 9. So both the range and the interquartile range tells me that there's a lot more variability in city B than in city A. The temperatures are a lot more spread out. There's more extremes, upper and lower extremes. Whereas in city A, you've got 50% of your data that's clustered around the median, all within 3 degrees. In city B, that 50% falls 9 degrees apart. So city A has much more consistent temperatures. There's less spread. There's less variability. For questions that just give you a box plot, can you determine the mean? Well, how do we find the mean? The mean is the average. It's add up all the values and divide by how many we have. Well, the mean is add up all the individual responses. I do not know individual responses with a box plot. I don't even know the number of responses with a box plot, because here it doesn't give me how many values. It's only finding that middle value and then the middle of the lower half and the middle of the upper half. Like, we only know 5 numbers of the data. So we don't know the number of responses, which means we cannot find the average. So the only thing that you can do with your box plot is the range, the interquartile range, and the median. Let's look at another example. Skip down to, I'm going to look at this again and just which gender shows greater variability in their playing time. So hours of video game time per week, and we're comparing boys and girls. Again, variability is how spread out the data is. You want to look at range, and you want to look at interquartile range. If the value is smaller, the smaller the value for the range and the interquartile range, the less variability there is. I see for both boys and girls, we have a maximum and a minimum that's the same, which tells me that the range is equal. So the range will not tell us anything about variability here, but we can look at the interquartile range. So that's the size of the box. And you don't even have to do the math to tell that this girl's box is longer, which tells me there's going to be more variability because that's how the box got longer, because you've got a smaller number and a bigger number, making it 15 minus 3, which is 12. So the interquartile range for girls is 12, whereas up here we've got 17 minus 9, which is 8. The interquartile range for the boys is 8. So there's more variability in the girls simply because the interquartile range is greater. And then if I give you a box plot, can you determine the mean? No. The median? Yes. There's the median. The range? Yes. That is the max minus the min. So the range just tells me spread out. It just tells me how far apart the data is. The interquartile range, yes, that's the distance between the upper and lower quartiles that makes up the box. And then the number of responses, like the number of numbers in the data, no. So I cannot determine that from a box plot. Whereas if you give me a dot plot tells me exactly how many people, because each dot represents a person. And if I know how many people and I know what all the responses are, then I can divide up all of the responses, which means I'm going to add up all these numbers, and then I'm going to divide by how many I have. So that would be the mean. So yes, I can determine those things. And then from there, I've just got the numbers in order. I can find the median, I can find the range, I can find the interquartile range. So if you give me a dot plot, I can determine any of those statistical values, and I could create a box plot if I wanted to be able to compare. All right, I hope that helps with variability, data displays, and statistics. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.